Bitcoin has dropped by over 9% in just a few days, and there's a lot going on in the world, from geopolitical issues all the way through to economic issues. And while we are starting to see some cracks form in the crypto space as well as the stock market. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the technical analysis on BTC, where I'll be sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think the price action is heading next. Let's jump right down into the technical analysis here on Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the 1 hour Binance chart here. And you can see that we did tap into this higher range. So in the previous video, we were talking about how it does look like we have basically topped out. We were hoping for a bit of a move to the upside towards the 67,000 to 68,000, but we did hit into this range here, the kind of lower range expectation of 66,353. So clean reversal and rejection from this upper level. And obviously we started to see a big move to the downside. We lost the 200 EMA on Monday. And we are basically, or did see, I should say, in Tuesday, a retest of the 200 EMA and basic rejection from there. So we have seen a nice clean reversal pattern here, losing the support of the 200 EMA, retesting it as resistance, and then basically dropping quite significantly. Now, on the hourly time frame that you see here, there are a few things that we need to address. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily look like the worst is over just yet, which is why I was putting out those videos yesterday with some of the warning signs and all that kind of stuff. And you can see here we are up in the overbought area on the stochastic RSI. Turn that off, come over to the relative strength index. You can see here that we are in a bearish place as well. If I draw a little trend line on here, you can kind of see how we've been trending down for quite some time on the relative strength index. I'll draw that in there. You can kind of see just how that's kind of been. Okay, and it's really quite an interesting kind of play that is going on here, as you can kind of see. Now, what's really interesting about this, obviously, is we did drop down into the oversold area. We started to move back up and we're dropping back down again. So we are in bearish times on BTC from a relative strength index. So from a momentum point of view, things are looking bearish on the RSI and also on the stochastic RSI. Volume profiles picked up massively yesterday as we started to see some worries in the market, and we start to see here that this significant amount of selling pressure starts to emerge. Obviously, we've kind of spoken about this many times before, that essentially Bitcoin has become more of a stock market play since the ETFs, and you can see volumes are already really low, and then they suddenly pick up and we start seeing significant drops to the downside. So volumes were increasing on the moves towards the 200 EMA. As we lost the 200 EMA, volumes also picked up as well. We did see a little bit of hope as we started to push down into Tuesday. But ultimately, with the retest volumes, or the retest of the 200 EMAs, we saw volumes also dropping back a little bit and then basically increasing as we started to dump off yesterday. So we've been talking about moves in the market for Bitcoin from a Federal Reserve monetary policy. It was basically reversals of policy. We saw that the market was a little bit undecided. The Fed interest rates being hinted at more reductions, but no time frames given to them. And essentially, typically, we see these kind of moves in the market, which is why I've been talking about that idea of Bitcoin moving down more aggressively towards $40,000 to $44,000. Obviously, losing some of these key areas. Yeah, I think it was a couple of days ago we were talking about finding support around $60,000. We've done that at the moment. This is the area where we have to hold. If we can't hold this, we are coming down deeper. So we want to be aware of that. Okay, so first kind of pit stops, we're trying to see whether we could claim 65. We've got rejected from 65. We've come down, found support at the moment on the $60,000 level. But yeah, it doesn't look strong at the moment. As we kind of see this structure appearing here, it does to me look like we have a really big issue going on with Bitcoin, where we see a continued reduction in price action. So it doesn't look like we are done just yet. The next kind of set target for me, I think, is going to be another bit of a wobble. We'll probably look for 59,125 to 59,765 in and around this range initially. So the idea here will be to think about shorting the market. So as you can kind of see, the death cross happened yesterday around 1400 hours or so, and we can see that that's really played off quite nicely. Essentially 50 EMA, 50 SMA, the yellow and blue lines are lower than the white line, the 200 EMA. So again, bearish death cross there. So a short on the market with price action being lower than the 200 EMA is probably the one to go for. If we hypothetically just go here on market, we'll be targeting out 59,765 on the low conservative side. Okay, and we're looking for a 1.5 risk reward ratio. So basically, entry at approximately 61,464, stop loss at 62,597, which is not really high enough, but it is the one of those issues where we'll have to keep a close eye on that. And take profit 59,765, right? 1.5 risk reward ratio. And yeah, that would probably be the approach that I'd have. I don't like the stop loss where it is, so we may have to adjust with a stop loss higher than a 50 SMA and obviously take this down a little bit deeper. 1.5 risk reward ratio would put us more at a take profit of 58,545. But I think essentially a better entry could be the way to go. So if we can get a better entry here, we can get to that 1.5 risk reward ratio by simply looking for an entry point at around 61,950. Okay, so that's going to be my approach on Bitcoin. I do think that this is the most likely and most probable play here for BTC in the next kind of couple of days or so. And talking about trading, 𝗗𝗀𝗀𝗃 has some exclusive bonuses up for grabs for the cheeky crypto community using the link in the description down below. They're basically launching campaign 2.0, whale campaign 2.0, where you could win a Model 3, a Tesla Model 3. Now, there's a few different prizes up for grabs here for new signups who basically are just actively trading. So whatever you are trading right now, just trade it on 𝗗𝗀𝗀 and you're going to be in this campaign. So basically, it starts off with an Apple Watch SE. This is basically for trading volume above 3 million. So obviously with leverage, these numbers are not actually that difficult to hit. With trading volume above 15 million, we're talking about a Herman Miller chair. So if you're someone who sits at the desk all the time, that's a fantastic prize up for grabs there. We've got trading volume over 25 million. You're going to be looking at a Canon EOS R5. We have trading volume above 50 million for a travel fund of $5,000. And if you're into your motorcycles, well, there's a fantastic opportunity here for volume above 100 million, a Kawasaki Ninja 650. And of course, the Model 3 down there for 300 million in volume or more. Now, of course, this is on top of the usual $10,000 deposit and trade rewards. Again, this scales up according to your activity and deposit. So deposit $100 all the way through to $20,000. And of course, there's going to be various different amounts of rewards that you can get on that campaign. So basically, by signing up, using the link in the description down below and depositing and trading, you're going to be eligible for up to the 10,000. And of course, if you're trading actively and you're getting some decent volumes on there, then of course you're going to be in the whale campaign 2.0 as well with some fantastic deals available. So what are you guys waiting for? Check out the link in the description down below. Sign up to 𝗗𝗀𝗀. It's a KYC free exchange and basically start bagging yourself some of these fantastic deals. Okay, let's go ahead and roll this up into a daily time frame. This is where things really kind of start to get a little bit more interesting. As you can see here, we have the ABC structure or the Y wave structure finishing right inside that range of expectation. Yes, it's on the lower side, but it hit that range of expectation and we start to see this rejection. Now, at the moment, you can see that Bitcoin has lost the support of the 200 EMA with yesterday's close position, essentially closing in on the 60,805 USDT level. And we can see here that today's candle is looking to see whether it can get a close position above that 50 EMA. The 50 EMA is currently at 61,379. So if it closes lower than that, we are, of course, still going to be confirmed rejection on that 50 EMA, in my opinion. Basically close below it, we retest it, we can't keep it, we close below it, we can then be thinking about that 200 EMA, which is at 59,892. And if you can't hold that, then of course we're going to be slipping down a little bit lower, in my opinion. Now, clean rejection from this upper area, this to me looks like a pretty standard move at the moment, but it is very impulsive on those smaller levels. So we could be looking at this through the idea that maybe there is, of course, going to be some kind of impulsive breakdown for Bitcoin, retesting, like I've said before, that double bottom around $49,000. This is going to be the big worry that a lot of people are going to have on the market as to whether or not we do see these kind of lows. Of course, if you're kind of prepared, like I guess the cheeky crypto community have been, we've been expecting a bit of a move like this to occur simply because we've had a relief rally to the upside leading into the Federal Reserve pivot. Okay, and essentially the lowering of interest rates is insanely bullish, but it happens when the market is at its is most illiquid. And essentially that is why we see these larger moves in the market typically during these times. Now, of course, with everything geopolitical going on as well, that is going to have an impact on price action. We've seen a little bit of a wobble here, a little bit of knee-jerk reaction. Typically, though, war actually has a more of a positive outlook, at least on the short to medium term. But of course, we'll see whether or not things do develop in that kind of way or not. Ultimately, taking a look at the market today, it looks like the market has been pricing in some concerns. Now, in the previous videos that I've been putting out, I've been saying that the market is just looking for an excuse. Okay, so we've rallied up very nicely for Bitcoin and for many altcoins as well, and the market just needs an excuse, right? The traders feel like they should be taking profit. They just need a reason to do so. And I think that's what we've seen in the last couple of days or so. We've seen, the Federal Reserve not really committing to dates in terms of pivots, in terms of interest rate reductions, not pivots, but interest rate reductions. They're committed to reducing interest rates, but they haven't given any time zones. And therefore, you see a little bit of a wobble because, again, the market's just looking for an excuse. We then have everything that was happening yesterday, again, giving more of the market an excuse to kind of sell off. And I don't think it's finished. I still think that the profits are still here to be taken. And so I suspect that actually we are looking for these lows to come in for BTC. It's just going to take a little bit of time to kind of get there. A massive drop by over 9% on Bitcoin in a very short period of time. Obviously, it can spook the market. We've seen this time and time before, or time and time again. We can see it here, an increase in volume as we have that move to the downside, bring on the stochastic RSI. The good news is that we have taken this down to oversold. So again, we can see that there's still a glimmer of hope that we can find support here and start to see a reversal. But again, the stochastic RSI is not an indication of price, only an indication of strength in the move. And it's indicating that there isn't a huge amount of sell pressure right now for BTC. So although some profits have been taken, it doesn't look like many of the diamond hand holders are looking to liquidate. Bringing in the divergence indicator, you can see the relative strength index has dropped below 50. So the last time that it dropped below 50 was the 26th of August. So again, you can kind of see what that might mean for the price action. So again, it could be a bit of a reversal, but I don't suspect we're going to. I think the market just is looking for an excuse to kind of take those profits off the table, and the price action will, act accordingly. The good news is on the daily volumes is that volumes on this sell-off were lower than the sell-off volumes on the 6th of September, which were obviously lower than the 5th of August. Okay, so you can see that these volumes are decreasing as we have these dumps in the market, right? We had the big dump in the market on the 5th of August to hit in 49,000. We had another dump on the 6th of September. Volumes were high, but not as high as previous. And this particular move also coming down quite aggressively on the 1st of October. Again, it is not showing us with an increased volume across that kind of time span. So there's a little bit of positivity to be seen in places, stochastic RSI, volume profiles, they've supported the 200 EMAs and so forth. If we can't hold these, then I suspect we are going to be looking for the 49,000. But of course, we'll be able to kind of keep an eye on the market and see how that's kind of progressing in time. But ultimately, I think now is a really important time to be keeping an eye on Bitcoin, on Bitcoin's price action, and to make sure that you are aware of the risks involved. Obviously, to me, it could be a bounce area here where this upper area of resistance can be retested, which is currently where we're finding rejection at the moment between the 61,685 and 62,745. This is a key area that was resistance, also was acting as support. We've lost it. It's now potentially going to be resistance again. So if we do find that we have this kind of idea of a 5-wave movement to the downside, we could be looking at quite an aggressive sell-off, and the momentum indicators are going to be bouncing all over the place under those particular scenarios. So there's a lot of things to consider, lots of things to think about. But for now, I think it's important to just make sure that you stay informed over all the various different possibilities and the increased volatility that we see in the coming days. You can let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on Bitcoin's price action in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server. We would love to hear from you. And you guys, if you haven't done so already, check this video out right here. It's not one you're going to want to miss.